Witness, please.
This time the Commonwealth will call Detective Juan Diaz.
Stand here, face the mic, and raise your right hand, please.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you shall give to this court and the jury in the issue between the Commonwealth and the defendant shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Right this way, sir. Your Honor.
Thank you. Sir, in a loud, voice, could you please introduce yourself to His Honor and the members of the jury, spelling your last name for the record?
My name is Detective Juan Diaz. My last name is spelled D-I-A-Z.
What do you do for work, sir?
I'm a Boston Police Detective at Area B2.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up in the area of Boston, Roxbury, Dorchester mainly.
When did you come to Boston?
When I was 8 years old,
Where did you come from?
Puerto Rico.
And did you go to the Boston Public Schools?
Yes.
Where did you go to school?
Originally, I went to Rafael Hernandez School for 3rd grade, St. Kevin's. Went to John W. McCormick and South Boston High and Boston English, as well as college, which is Suffolk University, and also I went to Western New England College and obtained a master's in criminal justice.
With the time at Suffolk, what was your degree at Suffolk University?
My degree was in Spanish, sort of similar to the English degree.
Spanish literature?
Language, literature, architecture, paintings, works of art, works of literature. Yeah, yes.
And after you graduated from high school and Suffolk University, where did you work?
Sociedad Latina.
And where was that?
It's called Sociedad Latina. It's in Tremont Street in Roxbury.
And at some point, did you become a Boston police officer?
Yes,
When did you start working for the Boston Police Department?
in 1997.
And what was your title for the Boston Police Department?
I was a patrolman police officer.
And how long were you a police officer before you became a detective?
16 years?
When did you become a detective?
2013.
Where were you assigned?
Area B2, which is the Roxbury, Dorchester area.
Were you assigned as a patrolman to Area B2 as well?
Correct.
So you spent your whole career at B2?
Yes, pretty much.
Okay. Were you working on March 3rd of 2015?
Yes, I was.
What shift were you working?
First half, which is from 4 p.m. to 11:45 p.m.
Did you have a partner that day?
Yes,
Who was your partner?
Detective John Heislip.
And what happened at approximately around 7:12 p.m.?
Could you repeat that again? Sorry.
What happened at around 7 p.m. that evening?
Around 7 p.m. there was a call for a person shot or stabbed.
Okay. And what did you do in response?
Since there were already detectives responding to the location where the incident happened, my partner and I went to meet up with the victim or the person that was assaulted at the hospital.
Okay. And your partner would have been Detective John Islip?
Yes, that would be Detective John Heislip. His last name is spelled Hyslip.
Okay. And where did you respond to the Boston Medical Center?
To the emergency section of the hospital.
And why did you go to the hospital?
We were to ascertain the condition of the person injured, as well as to his condition, whether it was life-threatening, not life-threatening, or if anything has changed.
Okay. And did you speak with anybody when you got there?
When I got there, I was directed by someone to a gurney where a young man was laying on it, and supposedly the victim.
Okay. And did you learn who that person was?
Yes, that was Luis Angel Rodriguez.
Luis Angel Rodriguez?
Yes.
Okay. And sir, could you describe what he looked like at the time that you first saw him?
At the time when I first saw him, he was facing away from us on the gurney, kind of sitting up, the gurney being a rolling bed that they used to wheel patients around. And he was facing away from us, and he was moaning and groaning, yelling. He wanted medication. He wanted, he was hurting. He was in pain.
What he was saying, Your Honor? I think that's what he was saying.
What else was he saying?
That anybody that went by him, some people were, I don't know if they were hospital staff or what they were in scrubs, and he just kind of almost tried to grab him and tell him, am I going to die? Am I going to die?
What time was this?
It was approximately about 7:30.
And how many people did he ask whether he was going to die or not?
About a couple. But at that time, I had, by that time, come to where he was at.
Did you make any physical observations of his injuries?
I saw that he had blood on his face from his right side, like where his ear is and neck. His face was sort of like if he had like a stroke, like his cheek, mouth, eyes were like droop down somehow, like if he had had a stroke.
Okay. What other observations did he make of his face?
When I approached him, he almost simultaneously turned towards me, and at the same as he was turning towards me, he was saying, am I gonna die? Asking me if he was gonna die, and blood just poured out of his ear, sort of like you take a glass of water, a pitcher, and pour water, but it was blood onto the gurney, then onto the floor, and he was oblivious to what had happened, so that had happened. He just continued to ask me, am I gonna die?
You mean oblivious to the fact that his head had just leaked out this blood?
Yes, just oblivious to the fact that, all this blood just came out of his ear.
Okay. And did you ask him any questions?
Yes, I asked him, what was his name, to see if he was cognitive enough, if it was his name, what was his date of birth. And when he was able to answer that, I asked him, what happened, who did this to you? And he said something to the
Objection, Your Honor.
Hold on.
he said that,
Overruled. When he answered what he said in response to that question.
he said that he didn't know why the Rev did this to him.
What happens next?
At this time, I don't know if it was the fact that all this blood came out of him, he was being wheeled to CAT scan by the hospital staff, and so we just kind of walked with him, and as we were walking with him, he tells me that he wanted to talk to me one-on-one after he gets out of CAT scan, which at the time I was very concerned upon seeing what had just happened with all that blood coming out, whether he was going to make it out of CAT scan. But
What happens next?
once that we waited, and once the procedure had been done and they opened the doors to the CAT scan, we kind of immediately went there and started asking him what happened, how did this happen to you?
What did he say?
He said that the person that shot him was the Rev. He was somewhere on Mass Ave, and that
Judge, can I have a continuing objection?
Your continuing objection to those statements are noted. Continue, please.
Yes. Did he describe the Rev?
yes, he said that it was a 50-year-old man, an administrator at his school, English High.
Did he say how he knew the Rev?
He just said that was an administrator at the school.
Did he
That's all I
say
can remember.
what he was doing with Rev?
That he was selling marijuana for him.
Did he indicate, did he tell you anything about him being shot?
Excuse me, could you
Sure.
phrase that?
Did he tell you why he was shot?
He said he didn't do anything wrong. That he had not, in his word, I didn't fuck up.
Did he tell you where he was at the time he got shot?
Where he was picked up at, which would have been Magazine Street.
Did he tell you who he was with at the time?
That he was with Rev.
And did he tell you where he met Rev that night?
He said he met Rev somewhere in the area of Massachusetts Avenue.
Did he tell you anything about what they were doing while they were walking?
That the Rev was on the phone talking to a female.
What else did he tell you?
They walked, they were supposed to get together so that they could smoke weed, marijuana, and meet females. have sex with him, I guess.
Did he ever tell you or describe where Rev lived?
He said that he lived somewhere near Mass Ave where they met,
Where he was picked up from?
where they met, yes.
And what happened at that point?
They both were walking towards the street that they were, where he was found, and somewhere around that point that he was shot, and then Rev was nowhere to be found. He left.
Was he able to continue to speak with you at that point?
No, he couldn't speak anymore because the swelling had gotten so bad that his jaw was having problems.
Sustained. The reasons for not being able to speak is stricken.
What did you do next to help investigate this case?
I reported what I had just learned. I reported that to my sergeant, Sergeant Detective Thomas O'Leary, and the other detectives were on the case.
Did you know who the person he was describing was at the time?
No, I had no idea.
What happens next?
That was pretty much it for that day.
The next day, did you have an opportunity to meet and interview Mr. Harrison at the station?
Yes.
And was that interview recorded?
Yes, that was audio and video recorded.
Did you also meet with the victim as well that next day?
Yes, I did.
Did you record the interview with the victim that next day?
That was just audio recorded.
And did you also talk with the victim on the 7th of March as well?
Yes.
And did you record that interview as well?
I don't believe, no.
And during the course of this case, did you participate in some of the search warrants and the other investigations?
Yes.
Did you also help transport the victim and his family to and from doctor's appointments
Yes.
and meetings with the district attorney's office?
Yes.
Can I just have a brief moment?
Yes.
On the interviews that you had spoken with Mr. Rodriguez on the 4th and the 7th, those conversations, did he tell you who shot him?
Yes.
Who did he identify?
He said that
Sustained.
Nothing further.
Carol?
Good afternoon, Detective.
Good afternoon, sir.
When you interviewed Mr. Rodriguez on the 3rd of March, you took notes about the interview, correct?
I think, yes.
And you do that because you want to make sure you get everything down that he says, so you can put it in the report later on, correct?
So I can remember, yes.
And you met with Mr. Rodriguez to discuss what had happened to him at least 3 times, right? The 3rd, the 4th, and the 7th?
Yes.
Okay. And you made notes of your interview with Mr. Rodriguez on the 3rd, correct?
Correct.
May I approach, Judge?
May.
And you made full notes, correct, about the interview?
Just enough for me to,
I'm sorry?
just enough for me to understand, to
Just to make
refresh
sure,
my
to make
memory,
sure you knew the full story, correct?
so I could know what, yes, so I could know the story, what happened.
Well, Mr. Bradley had you recite a little bit about what you say Mr. Rodriguez told you. And he told you that he was that Rev shot him,
Yes.
and you put that in your notes, correct?
I believe so, yes.
And he told you that Rev was somebody he knew from English high school, correct?
There was an administrator, yes.
Administrator at English high school. And he told you, and you put that in your report, correct?
I
In
believe so.
in your notes.
I believe, I might have, yes. Not too sure because I don't have my notes in front of me.
Well, he told you that he and he told you, he didn't give you the person's name, he just referred to him as Rev, is that correct?
Correct.
And he told you that he and the Rev were going off someplace to meet some women and get some weed with him, is that right?
Correct.
And you put that in your notes.
I believe so, yes.
And he told you that he was selling weed for the Rev, correct?
Yes.
But he never messed up, correct?
They know that's something to that effect.
Correct?
Yes.
So he didn't know why he'd gotten shot, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to show you a document and ask if you recognize it.
Sorry, I don't know what Mr. Carroll's showing.
You recognize that document?
Yes.
It's fair to say that's a copy of the notes that you made as a result of your interview with Mr. Rodriguez in the hospital, correct?
Correct.
On March 3rd, correct?
Correct.
Now, show me where, it doesn't say that he told you that Rev shot him, does it?
Nope, it doesn't have that verbatim.
It doesn't say that, does it?
Nope.
It says that he was selling, though, right?
Yes.
But not shooting, not that the Rev shot him, just that he was selling for him, correct?
Correct, it doesn't say that.
And you don't say anything about, you don't put anything in there about how much pain he's in, correct?
No, I did not.
And you didn't put anything in there about his saying, am I going to live or am I going to die or anything like that, and it did you?
No, I did not.
And you didn't put anything in there about the description of this 50-year-old man, correct?
Well, it says Rev 50.
Okay.
Yes.
How about English high school?
No, I did not.
And you put down Mass Ave as the address for the person, for this person, Rev?
I put Mass Ave dash suspect address,
That's where the suspect supposedly lived, was on Mass Ave?
somewhere near there.
You didn't put anything in there about going off to get weed, correct?
No, I did not.
Didn't put anything in there about going to meet up with women, right?
No, I did not.
Can I approach Judge Urster for a quick second? I just want to say one thing.
Yes.
Correct?
That's a copy, yes.
As it sits in front of you now, that contains all of the information that you thought was important enough to put into your notes, correct?
Yes.
And it didn't contain any of those things we just went over,
No, I
correct?
don't do that.
All right.
No, excuse me for a second. That's too vague. It doesn't contain specifics. You can ask that question.
There's nothing that you wrote down in your notes that says the Rev shot him, correct?
No.
Not correct?
It has nothing, it doesn't say that the Rev shot him on that particular note.
Doesn't say anything about it being in pain, does it?
No.
Doesn't say anything other than the Rev being in his 50s, does it?
It does,
About a description.
it does say that he is his 50s.
Doesn't say anything about a description of the Rev other than his being in his 50s,
Okay.
correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Doesn't say anything about the Rev being in English High, does it? Or an administrator there, right?
That's correct.
Doesn't say anything about walking to meet up with some women and smoke some weed, does it?
That is correct. It does not have that on that
Doesn't say
note.
anything about the name of the individual, correct? Now, you did write a report that referenced this, what you say, the conversation you say you had with Mr. Rodriguez on the 3rd, correct?
Correct.
But the report was dated March 6th, correct?
That's correct.
And you had a chance to speak with Mr. Rodriguez at least on the 4th, correct?
Correct.
And it's at that point that he tells you that Shaun, he gives you the name at that point, right? Shaun Harrison?
Yes, he gives me the name Shaun Harrison on the 4th.
And he then told you that that person was an administrator in English high school, correct?
He told me that then also.
I'm sorry?
He told me that then also.
You take notes that this interview was in fact recorded, correct?
Say that again?
The March 4th interview was recorded, right?
The March 4th, yes, audio recorded.
And you wrote this report on the same day that you wrote the report about the March 3rd interview, correct?
Repeat that again, I'm sorry.
You wrote a report regarding the March 3rd interview on March 6th, correct?
Correct.
And you wrote a report about the March 4th interview on March 6th, correct?
Correct.
The same day.
Correct.
And on March 6th, he told you he'd been selling marijuana for the rep, correct?
Yes, he did.
And in that March 4th interview, he never said the Rev shot him, did he?
One more time?
During the March 4th interview, he never said the Rev shot him, did he?
I don't recall. I would have to see the note.
He said in the March 4th interview, he said he was selling for the Rev, correct?
Correct.
But didn't say that the Rev shot him, did he?
I believe so, but not too sure. I don't know what exactly that I wrote. I don't have the actual report in front of me.
And you went back and spoke to Mr. Rodriguez again on March 7th, correct?
Yes.
And you made reference to a person by the name of Molly, correct?
Yes.
And he also told you that he was familiar with the interior of the Rev's apartment because he'd seen the interior of Rev's apartment on a Facebook page, correct?
He said that somebody he knew had a picture of it on Facebook.
Sorry?
He said that somebody he knew had a picture of...
And you'd seen it on NA's Facebook page, correct?
Correct.
And again, he told you on March 7th that things were good between him and Rev as of March 3rd, correct?
Yes.
And that there were no arguments or nothing, things were good, correct?
Yes.
Now, Detective, you also had an opportunity to conduct an interview with Kenneth Perez, correct?
Excuse me, who?
Kevin?
Kevin?
Kevin Perez?
Yes.
And that interview was conducted on March 10th, correct?
Yes.
About a week after the incident?
Yes.
And you spent about 3 hours with Mr. Perez, correct?
I did not start the interview, but I spent
sorry?
about that much time.
That was about that much time, maybe you weren't in the room for that entire time, but other detectives or other officers were in some combination for 2 hours and 55 minutes, correct?
Correct.
And you wanted Mr. Perez to tell you about what he knew about the Rev and the shooting and the fight in the school, correct?
Correct.
And he told you that he and the Rev had never talked about Lewis, correct?
Correct.
So he never could have asked Kevin to shoot Lewis, correct?
I don't know what he could have.
Sorry?
I don't know what he could have.
Well, Kevin Perez never told you that Shaun Harrison asked him to shoot Luis Rodriguez, did he?
Nope. He did, I don't
He
recall him
didn't say-
saying that, no.
I'm sorry?
I don't recall him saying that, no.
Well, that'd be something that'd be pretty important, it would stick out in your mind, wouldn't it?
Right.
And you never, so on March 10th, when you're interviewing, and you want him to tell you the whole truth about what had happened, he never says that Shaun Harrison asked him to kill Luis Rodriguez, did he?
No.
And he didn't say anything about Reverend Shaun Harrison asking Jose Nova to shoot
No.
Luis Rodriguez, did he?
No.
And he never said anything to you about Kevin Perez refusing to shoot Luis Rodriguez, but then Shaun Harrison went ahead and described how he, Shaun Harrison, was going to shoot Luis Rodriguez. Did he?
No.
Compound question.
Yes. Thank you.
At any time during this 2 hours and 55-minute interview, did Mr. Perez ever describe how Shaun Harrison had said he, Shaun Harrison, was going to kill Luis Rodriguez?
No, he did not say that. No.
Didn't tell you that Shaun Harrison was going to meet Luis Rodriguez at the Mass Avenue T station, did he?
No.
Didn't tell you that he was going to meet him at the Mass Ave T station and then get on an Orange Line train, did he?
No, he did not.
And he didn't tell you that after they'd been on the Orange, that after Luis Rodriguez and Shaun Harrison had been on the train for a while, they're going to get off the train and take him someplace where the police couldn't see him, correct?
He
He
didn't.
didn't tell you that, did he?
No.
And he didn't tell you that Shaun Harrison told him that Shaun Harrison was going to shoot Luis Rodriguez in the back of the head.
Objection.
Fair question.
Did he say that to you?
No.
And he told you during the course of this interview that he'd heard that the Reverend was going to shoot Luis Rodriguez, but he'd heard that from Reese, correct?
Yes.
And he told you that he never sold drugs for Shaun Harrison?
That's correct.
So, Mr. Carroll, asked you a lot of questions about your notes.
Yes.
Do you use those notes to help refresh your memory when you wrote your report?
Yes. They're just something to remind me of some conversation or something just to remind me of what happened or what have you. It's not verbatim everything that I hear. I'm going to write it because it's just too much to do, too quick to do it, especially when somebody's bleeding out their ear.
And did all of the things that Mr. Rodriguez tell you on the 3rd, did that get memorialized in a 2-page police report?
Yes, I memorialized it on the report.
And is this, Mr. Carroll? I may approach? Mr. Carroll showed you a one-pager from your, is that a page from your notebook, sir?
Yes.
Okay, and it does indicate that Rev 50 is correct?
Correct.
All right, and this report here, this is your report dated March 6th of 2015, is that right?
Correct.
Is that almost, you tried to memorize as verbatim what Mr. Rodriguez had told you in the hospital?
I try to remember as much as I possibly could.
Okay, and did you write that in the Form 26?
Yes.
And that includes information about who shot him, Rev,
Yes.
and it includes information about him selling marijuana for him, is that right?
Correct.
But it does not indicate at that point on the 3rd of March that he worked at English High School, correct?
Correct.
You learned that information when you spoke with him on March 4th, the next day, is that right?
That is correct.
Objection.
Form, we'll have to strike the last question and answer, asking an appropriate form.
Sure. When did you learn that the gentleman named Rev was Shaun Harrison, the administrator that worked at English High School?
I knew that on the 3rd, because I knew the school. I went to the school. So when he said the administrator at the school, I said, what school? And he did tell me, but I didn't put it into my report. And on the 4th, he reiterated that. And on the 3rd, my belief of who the administrator was just somebody that worked in the school, not in the kind of capacity that it turned out, but started just like, I don't know, somebody that just worked, who knows, a cafeteria or something else, not an administrator dealing with the students at that capacity.
And the first time he told you that was on the 4th of March when you interviewed him at 1 o'clock?
That is correct.
And what did you do with that information once you learned that information?
Once we learned that information, then that was given to other detectives, who then went to the school.
Nothing.
Mr. Carroll?
Briefly, Your Honor. One of the reasons you make notes when you're interviewing somebody, especially when it's not being recorded, is to preserve all of the important information, correct?
As best as you can, yes.
Because, God forbid, something happens to you from the time you have the interview with Mr. Rodriguez on the 3rd, and the next time, by the time you get to write a report, there's no other way to convey that information to people, correct?
Well, I was with my partner. For me, that would have been a backup that my partner was there, but if I have something happen to me, they would have gone anywhere.
He didn't write any reports about that interview, did he?
No,
And he didn't generate any notes about that interview, did he?
no.
So the reason you want to make sure that your notes are as detailed as possible, one of the reasons you want to make sure your notes are as detailed as possible is because, God forbid, something happens to you between the time you interview him on the 3rd and the next time you interview him on the 4th, and by the time you generate a report on the 6th, any other police officer who comes along would be privy to that information that you had gathered, correct?
Yes.
So if something had happened to you between the 3rd and the 4th, there wouldn't have been any record in writing of Shaun Harrison working, or Shaun, administrator at the high school, right?
Yes, if something had happened to me.
I'm sorry?
If something had happened to me, there would,
Right. They wouldn't have had a record of that, right?
that's correct.
They wouldn't have had a record about Mr. Rodriguez saying that he'd never, well, I'm sorry, about the two of them walking on to meet up with women and to smoke weed, correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Counsel?
Nothing further.
Your excuse, thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honor.
While you're departing, would you announce your next witness?
It's time to come up with the rest.
If you do, I'd like to speak both sides at sidebar briefly, please. Jurors, I told you early that there's a certain right, rather, if he chooses to exercise that right, to present evidence in his own behalf, testify. And that is a right that is sacrosanct. We discussed that several stages during impanelment, and there was an agreement by all of you that you understood what the burden of proof was and the absence of any obligation for a defendant to testify or to present evidence. I'm recalling that because I now want to ask counsel whether he will be presenting any witnesses, exhibits, or at all, including his client. Mr. Carroll?
Defendant Brett, Your Honor.
Well, with that in mind, we still have two very important things to occur before you even start thinking about this case. Tomorrow, you'll be listening to closing arguments, first from defense counsel, then from the Commonwealth. Afterwards, I will give you instructions on the law that you must apply to the case. And once you are sent to the jury deliberation room, that is when you can start thinking about what all of this evidence means. I'm asking you again, as I have in the past, to check yourself, to make sure that you don't come to any conclusions yet. It is simply not right for you to come to an opinion as to what the evidence means. Give the lawyers a chance to speak to you tomorrow. Give me a chance to instruct you on the law tomorrow. And then, when you are all assembled, give each of your fellow jurors an opportunity to have a discussion with you so that you can come to a collective decision on what the evidence means. Now, more than ever, keep an open mind. More than ever, make sure that you don't do anything by seeing something or hearing about something outside the courtroom that will impair your ability to continue to address the facts in this case with an open mind. Again, I remind you, please do not have any contact through any media source or any other source about anything about this case. Please do not talk about this case with anyone, including among yourselves, until I send you, after closing arguments, to the jury room to begin your deliberations. And certainly no discussions electronically. And lastly, again, do not do any research or investigation into any fact or circumstance of the case. Jurors, the case will be given to you tomorrow morning. I know we went just a little bit later than we had anticipated. I thank you on behalf of all of the parties for your patience and the attention that you've given to this case. We're going to suspend now because I have some other matters that I must address with the lawyers out of your presence. So thank you for your attention. See you at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
All rise.